Okay. Welcome, everyone. Tonight we have captions for this meeting available at the link that I have put in our chat. Please open the link in the browser next to your Zoom screen to view the captions. And it should be available to you at any time. It's already started. And go ahead, Stacy. Oh, so we're doing this in a different format from last time, if you came last time. So this is actually a meeting and we don't have a Q&A section, we just have the chat. So Carrie and I are gonna try and keep up with your questions via chat. But if you could kind of hold off a little bit until after the presentation, that way that'll give us a fighting chance to try and catch all your questions. So we'll do the best we can. So we appreciate everyone's patience. And if you scroll, somebody's asking about the captions link. If you scroll up to the top, it's the very first part of the chat. So you should see that as far as the chat goes. And if you don't have an agenda, there's also a PDF. It says Coaches Meeting Agenda November 20 PDF. That will be the agenda for this evening. And I believe it is also on the Bob page on our website.
Okay, yes. Okay, all right. So let's get started. My name is Christy Lassen. I'm the Director of Communications and Partnerships for the library. Thank you all for being here and sign up to be coaches. We're excited for this event. Some of you may have been part of the information session last month, and I will tell you that we have a little bit more information than we did last time, but not a whole lot more information. So in this new virtual environment, we're still working a lot of things out. So we will share with you again what we know. And then as we have additional information, we will post that to the FAQs on our website. So we'll keep referring back to that page to so that you can always have the most up-to-date information as we have it. We'll post it up there. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Oop. Sorry, I'm juggling different screen things here. Okay, wait. There we go. Okay. All right, so here we are, virtual battle of the books. Oh, there we go. All right, tonight's goals. So we're going to talk about the goals for the students. We're going to talk about the coach responsibilities. We're going to talk about some preparation tips and some sample types of questions. We're going to quickly run through the books, and then we're going to talk about some important dates and end up with parent responsibilities. And again, this agenda is on the website. This PowerPoint will be on the website following the meeting. So our goals for our students are to build teamwork skills. We want them to learn good sportsmanship skills. We want them to read different types of genres. So for example, science fiction or graphic novels or nonfiction or historical fiction, you know, things we want to expose them to titles and different genres that they may not otherwise be exposed to. Maybe they think they're not interested in science fiction and it turns out they love it. Or maybe they don't like historical, they think they don't like historical fiction, but they end up enjoying it. Of course, one of the goals of this academic event is to increase reading comprehension. And you'll do that in different ways as we go through this tonight. And then of course, we want people to have fun. We want the kids to have a really great time, and they do. This picture at the bottom of the screen is from last year's virtual battle, which was a really simplified version. It looks like they're all together, but they're not. They did some fun editing here. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 different pictures spliced together. So. Oh. Okay, so coaches, what we need from you is we need you to build team spirit and encourage good sportsmanship among your team members. Encourage them to have fun and to make sure that each member of your team has a role to play, that it's not all you and it's not all one kid or 2 kids that are driving this, but they all have a role to play. You want to set up regular meetings with your team. And in this era of rising COVID cases, you're going to need to do that online in some way. Or maybe you can meet someplace outside, all bundled up for the weather, around a fire pit or something. I don't know, it's up to you, but you really need to adhere to the existing health guidelines and keep on top of those guidelines as they change. But find some way to set up regular meetings with your team. And you know, your kids are all well versed in Google Meets, and so maybe that's a way to do that. You want to encourage and reward your students for reading and doing, coming up with practice questions and being able to answer those practice questions. So, find some way to encourage and reward your students. This is really important to convey information from us to the team members and to their parents, because there's just going to be a lot coming up, especially as we get closer and we have information about how they're going to participate online. So that will be a key thing for you to do, because we don't communicate with the kids directly or their parents, we communicate with you. So always check your email. Make sure you've given us an email address that you check frequently. And make sure maybe to check your spam folder. There were, I think, a number of people for tonight's meeting who had to go check their spam folder to see that the invitation to tonight's meeting. And then the other thing is to respond to communications from us in a timely way. So if we tell you that we are going to send you something and we need a response by a certain date, please respond by that date.
Christy, if I could add, I know that a lot of media specialists were the ones who registered teams, even though they might not have been the coach. So I'm pretty sure I saw some media specialists here tonight. If you could just make sure too that if you get information, just even check in with the teams every once in a while to make sure they're getting all the information, because if for some reason it's going to spam, you don't know what you don't know. Like, you don't know that it actually came if it went directly into spam. So it'd be helpful to kind of do that.
Yep. Thank you, Stacy. Yep. Okay, let's talk about getting your kids ready for the battle. So one thing you'll want to do is to decide who's going to read each book. Different teams do it different ways. So some teams will have, kids read maybe 2 or 3 books and not all books. But I will tell you, the most successful teams have all the team members read all the books. But then maybe you have experts. Not every kid has to be an expert on every book, but think ahead to when you get to the actual battle and maybe someone unfortunately gets sick and they're not able to participate. You need someone who knows that child's books well enough to be able to answer the questions. So make sure that at least 2 team members read every book. But like when my daughter did it 3 years ago as a 5th grader, they all had their books that they were responsible for, but then they passed all the books around, so they all had an understanding of what was in each book. Decide how often you will meet to discuss the books. If you want to meet every week, every other week, every 3 weeks, whatever you and your team decide, that's what you should do. You want to hold mock battles or Jeopardy style games. So there's Kahoots or Quizlet, or there's lots of different kind of gaming apps out there that you can use to quiz each other around the books. And we're going to talk next about the different types of questions. Because you want to make sure that your kids are prepared to answer the questions. And if you can, kind of make it a fast-paced quiz, and that will help them so that they don't get flustered. So if you practice well enough, that will help. You want to have your kids write the practice questions. As they read the book, have them write down some questions using the sample types of questions that we'll talk about in a minute. And remember that questions on all parts of the book are valid. Now, again, we're not going to try to trick you and putting something that's designed to trip you up, but all parts of the book are valid. If you want to talk to your school's media specialist to ask if there are other teams from your school who are participating, maybe you all can practice together. do a Zoom together or something. But those are some of the tips that we have learned from teams over the years about what works well for them. Stacy, is there anything you think we should add here? Nope. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm muted. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, practicing the questions and having them compose the questions is a really good thing. My daughter also participated about 8 years ago, and they wrote questions, and they like to write really hard questions. So that's good. And also just even having a chance to kind of look at the books themselves, the physical books, and look at some of the features, because we'll talk about the types of questions in a minute, but things like chapter headings, sometimes there's special drawings on the tops of the chapters. Sometimes the chapter titles can be important. So having a chance, especially if you're the expert on that, is to look at a lot of those details for that. And when we ask the questions, the question is only going to apply to one book. So we probably won't say in which book does the, is there a medal on the cover, because we have several award-winning books with medals on the cover. So you want to think of things that make that book unique.
Good, thank you. Okay, now we're gonna get to sample types of questions. There are 4 types of questions that we ask. And the answer to any of the questions, or say to all of the questions, is always the title of the book and the author. So one type of question is a direct quote from one of the characters. So for example, I am nothing but a half-crazed, feather-headed old maid. And the answer is Ghost I Have Been by Richard Peck. Another quote, what is a library? And the answer would be Aunt Chip and the Great Triple Creek Dam Affair by Patricia Polacco. Thank you.
Patricia Polacco.
So that's one type of question, a direct quote, and it would be phrased just like that. Another type of question would be a statement about something that happens in the book. So, for example, in which book does a family special friend arrive inside the coat of a man looking for a job? And then the title and the author. In which book do we learn that King Louis the 14th had a collection of 413 different beds? Title and author. And again, this is how the questions will be phrased. Third type of question, a passage directly from the book. So not a quote, but a passage. So her hair was yellow and her face was yellow because she had always been ill in one way or another. Or out of all of his dreams, his was the one he liked the best, even if it seemed to be the one most out of his reach.
And I'm going to jump in here for the direct quotes and the passage. When the moderator is reading the question, he or she will always say the word quote before something that is a direct quote. So at the beginning of the question, the person would say, quote, her hair was yellow and her face was yellow because she had always been ill in one way or another. So that is kind of a clue that it will be a direct quote.
Whoop. Ah. All right, whoops, let me go back.
The pictures.
Now I've screwed everything up. Hold on. I was going to go back to the quote, right? So it was a quote, I am nothing but a half-crazed, feather-headed old maid. Yeah. But here, the passage, they would not say quote.
No, they would still say quote.
Oh, they would? Oh.
Anything that is taken directly from the book. So a passage, anything that you see up here where it has quotations around it, we will say the word quote. So it's the direct quote and the passage directly from the book will both have the word quote in front of it.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then the last type of question is details about an illustration or a picture. So in which book does a nasty lady wear crescent moon earrings? In which book will you find illustrations of water ballet moves? That sort of thing.
And we will not be showing a picture from the book. So it is all going to be, usually when we're in a regular battle, it's just it's auditory. So you will hear it the description, in which book does a nasty lady wear crescent moon earrings? So you're not going to actually see the picture to say in which book is this picture from. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. And it could be an illustration, a picture, it could be a photograph. Nonfiction books tend to have photographs as opposed to illustrations. And as I mentioned before, it doesn't have to be what you would traditionally think of a picture book illustration. Chapter books very often will have decorations at the beginning of a chapter. Sometimes we feel very sneaky and they'll have little decorations by the page numbers. So there's lots of things that you can take a look at.
Yep. Thank you for that. All right, so then how does it work? Well, here's what we can tell you. There are a lot of other questions that we have not figured out yet, but here's what we know is that the moderator will ask questions about the books, just like we have in the past, that the battle will include at least one question about each book, and that teams will have 30 seconds to discuss their answer. Now, how they submit their answer, I don't know yet. We don't know yet. We're still working out what platform we're going to use. And so, you know, there's a lot of logistics we need to work out yet. So we will let you know that at our March meeting, if not before. But for right now, you know that you're going to have 30 seconds to discuss their answer. And you can see this is another picture from last year where here's a team that was participating in our modified battle. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Stacy.
Okay, before we start with the titles, I think what we're going to do is try and catch up on some of these questions before we lose them entirely.
Okay.
Wait a second. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Oh, if you did not originally get this, email, because people are asking that they've looked in their spam folder and they still didn't get anything, send it. The best way to get in touch with us is to email us at bob@hclibrary.org. And that will come directly to this committee. A lot of people were sending emails to the library's general email address for asking questions, and that will take a lot longer, and the people who are answering those wind up sending it to us, so there's sometimes a delay. But if you send it to bob@hclibrary.org, that will come to us and we should be able to answer your question. What we can do is, if you didn't get the email, we can confirm the email, and we're going to need to look into it because it did seem like there is a large number that for some reason did not get it this time. Okay, so the question, if a team is registered but kids drop out and only a couple are left, are they still allowed to participate? Yes, as long as you have at least 3 students on your team, you can still participate. You actually also have until February 8th to add additional students to your team. So you've got those 2 options.
And I would say there too, just add in there, if you start with 5, which we asked everyone to register with 5, but and then something happens and you end up with 3 and you're worried that you might drop even further, you might ask again your media specialist or other parents that are coaches, you know, or any other students, if they might be in the same boat, maybe you can combine a team.
Yes. Somebody asked about a sign-in. I'm not sure what that means, but not at this point. Tamara asked, will any of these resources like practice questions be provided by the county, or should we just come up with them, ask media specialists? We do not provide them. I believe Christy said something about working with the other teams at your school and the media specialist, and maybe you guys could work together. Mm-hmm. When we talk about Praveen said, when you said other parts of the book, does that include preface, forward, or about the author portions as well? Yes, it does. Every part of it. The cover, the back cover, that's why everybody has the exact same copy of the book, because everything counts. Let's see. Give us a sense of how Wesley Johnson said, for those who have experience with the pre-COVID Battle of the Books format held in a school gym where coaches don't sit with their team, can you give us some sense of the virtual form, how that might work? I wish we could. We're still trying to figure it out, because things change daily, and actually we're still looking into what format would be the best with the number of teams that we have, because things that we thought might work might not work. So we're still looking into it. We will let you know as soon as we know, we promise.
Right.
If you want to edit team information or add assistant coach, that magical email, bob@hdlibrary.org, email it to us and we will take care of it. Priya says, how are the questions asked, read out, displayed on the screen, etc. In the past, it has always been a moderator reading them aloud. And as far as I know, that will still be the same.
Yeah, I would think so too. That's how we did it in our simplified version last year. They were all read. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll apologize if I pronounce anybody's name wrong, but the print is thin and I don't want to put my face that close to the computer screen. I believe this is Indira said, Stacy, last comment was confusing. So a quote refers to both a passage and a quote. Yes, we are using the word quote as, think of it as you're writing a research paper. Anything that you're pulling directly from the text of the book is going to have the word quote in front of it. So if you're pulling a passage directly from the book where it is exactly as that is, you would have quotation marks around it. So it's kind of like us saying, quote, this is what is exactly there. And if it's something that a character is actually saying, because we are pulling it exactly from the book, we are using those quotation marks, and sorry for doing this. But yes, that's what it is. Both of those things will say quote. If you hear the word quote at the beginning of a question, that means it is pulled directly from the book. If you can't, trying to remember the name of the team, having trouble for signing up for a pickup, at this point, I would say if you're not able to sign up, please come at one of the assigned times. We'll give you the books. We'd rather give you a book at an assigned time than trying to figure out another time. So just come to one of those times and we'll do the best we can. How many, Melissa said, how many questions are there usually? How many per book? In the past, it's been 50 questions total. We may or may not have that many this year. As far as how many per book, there isn't a standard answer to that. There's at least one question per book in there. You can do the math, divide 50 by 11 books, but there's not a necessarily mathematical formula. Another Melissa said, in past Bobs, there's been a list of book titles and authors with the key for the kids to use in their answers. Will this be the same this year? There is a printable book list on our webpage, so you'll have that available.
Oh, I think, Stacy, I think she's asking about the card that we give out at the battle.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I'm not 100% sure to the answer to that because it depends on the format that we're doing. We provided it that way because of the way we were having the students answer the questions, but it's a whole new ball game, and more than likely that printable book list will probably be what you'll need, because we're not going to try and assign anything, because it's not like we're in a room where you can't have anything else with you. Yeah. And then Priya says, how are the teams allowed to discuss? That's one of the things we're working on. But that's, we're looking into a way for the teams to be able to do that. Yes, for Denise about being in this, or Danielle said about the same boat, forgot the temporary name, just come in and we'll give you your books. Because we have on our forms, when you pick up your books, we'll have all the pertinent information. So as long as you know your school's name and the coach's name, we should be able to do that. Will the battle, Melissa says, will the battle definitely be virtual this year, even if the kids are back for in-person school? I'm going to say yes, because we don't want to do super spreader. So we're just going to go with yes.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, and the reason is, beyond not wanting to be a super spreader, is this event takes so much planning time because of the size and scope of it that it's like turning the Titanic. So we've made our decision. The school system has concurred with us, and so we will definitely be here in a virtual environment.
Okay. Would we be able to use, I'm guessing, use electronic copies of the book? Yes, we tried to, whenever we could, we tried to order electronic versions. There are some things where you're going to want to look at the physical copy of the book, but yes, absolutely, please use electronic versions. They're more germ-free as well. Beth asked for suggestions on how to communicate with students during this virtual situation. I'm guessing trying to set up either through Google Meet, if that's probably the most comfortable for you guys, since that's what students use. I think that would be the best way to do that, is to set up Google Meets so everybody can chat together.
Yep.
The contact info in chat, yes, we can add the Bob email into chat. Matthew Winter says your school librarian usually receives a master copy of all the teams and name members represented in their school. Yes, if Melissa Daggett does not have that, we will make sure that she does. So yes. Yeah. Danielle says in-person Bob would be a super spreader event for sure. Yes, we're going for the best case scenario. Kelly asked about changing team name. Again, it's that Bob at hdlibrary.org. Same with Anna, change our team name officially. Screen is no longer sharing because yes, we stopped the screen share. We'll do that, put that back in a minute. Yes, February 8th is the deadline for changing your team name or adding or deleting teammates. Also, that goes for coaches if you need to adjust coaches. I'm
sorry. I think you skipped one about what people are meant to do with the physical copies of the books they pick up.
I haven't gotten that far.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's next.
Oh,
what we're meant to do with the physical copies of the book. You're going to divide them up and amongst your team. And I would say porch drop-offs would probably be your best bet as far as sharing goes. I would say for most of them, gallon size grocery or gallon size Ziploc bags might work to put them on the coach to weatherproof them so much. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, Matthew Winter just said the Board of Education just announced that HCPSS is virtual through Q3. So the chances of being back in person for a battle is very unlikely. All right, there you go. You've heard it first. In the virtual battle, does every team type the book and author, or they pick an answer from a list of books or authors? Again, we're not sure yet. Able adding a team member, Bob at hdlibrary.org. Book pickup for tomorrow, will it be outside? I'm not going indoors anywhere at the moment for obvious reasons. Excellent question. So if you've done contactless pickup at the branches before, you go into the lobby of the branches. The pickup is for tomorrow for the Bob books is at Miller, and Miller actually has 3 meeting rooms. So this is the one that's closest to the garden. It's the Avalon room, and you're just going to come pretty much to the door. And we'll be out there. We're not going out to your car, but we will meet you at the door to give you your book, so you don't have to actually enter the building. Let's see. Can team members keep notes with them during the battle? You're in your houses. There's no way we can stop you, to be quite honest. So we're not even going to pretend as far as that goes.
Which is why part of the reason that we have not determined about scoring yet. It's because it is at home and there's no way for us to have the same protocols in place that we do in an actual battle. So that might change, but again, we will have to let you know about that.
Do we just get books at the library? We have the set of books for each team that you're going to pick up from Miller starting tomorrow. You can request other books, additional books, just like you would put holds on regular books, and you could do contactless pickup. Right. Did we talk about costumes? Not yet.
No. I'm sorry. Well, because the next thing after we go through, maybe we can go through some of the titles real fast and come back, and because we have a lot of questions yet. Yeah. With costumes, again, we've talked about that a little bit, but quite honestly, I'm not sure how that would work, because all you see is like what you see of us right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I don't think we're going to do any sort of, prize for best costume, but I would say, like, if your kids want to dress up, they're certainly welcome to. You know, if they want to make t-shirts for themselves or funny hats or something or crowns or whatever, I mean, that's totally up to them. It's something that builds teamwork. But I don't know how we would do anything official in terms of costume. So
yeah, I think that's a good compromise. I think it's a lot of fun, and the kids have a lot of fun coming up with the costumes. So there's that, and you could certainly take pictures of them and send them to us, because perhaps we can do like a collage or something with the pictures, but it would be really hard to judge. So I don't think there'd be judging as far as that goes.
Yeah, I just kind of, yeah, I think we've just made that decision right now. I don't think.
Yeah, there we go. We made a decision. All right.
Why don't we go through the books?
Sure.
And then I can take some questions.
Okay.
Give you a break there. All right.
Okay.
So hang on. Oh, hang on. Ah, sorry. Now I got to get back to where I was.
Oh no, and I lost my version that had my notes. Wait a minute.
Okay. Here is slideshow.
Okay.
All right. First two books we have. Did you find it?
Oh wait, I got it. Okay.
Okay.
It wasn't a PowerPoint, it was a web page. Okay, so I'm going to go through this super fast because you've probably have heard this before. So the first two up are The Undefeated by Kwame Alexander, illustrated by Kadir Nelson. It's an ode to inspiring African-American heroes in the field of sports, the arts, and political activism, as well as everyday champions whose very survival exemplifies success. This one is one that is written in verse. This one and How to Build a Museum are two nonfiction titles. They are picture book format. So keep that in mind. How to Build a Museum, sorry. This is really cool because it's the story of the creation of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. And it talks about 100 years of hoping, planning, constructing the building, and assembling its collections. So maybe one day when we can actually go into other buildings, you can see this very local museum that's talked about.
And it's an incredibly beautiful and powerful museum.
Yes, okay. Here we go. Okay, Superstar. Lester loves two things, science and homeschooled life with his devoted mother. So he's a little shocked when his mom announces that he's going to be attending 5th grade in public school because she's going back to work full time. They've been especially close since the tragic mission-related death of Lester's astronaut father 5 years before. Unresolved grief still haunts the family. Lester's behavior makes his transition to public school a challenge. He discovers that he is on the autism spectrum, but caring staff and a kind-hearted classmate, Abby, offer support. Then the annual science fair gives Lester both a way to fit in and an opportunity he's been longing for, a chance to study space and flying, taboo subjects at home. And then we've got Margaret Peterson Haddock's The Strangers. This is told in alternating points of view from Chess, Emma, and Finn Greystone. This is a new page-turning adventure that examines assumptions about identity, family, and home from the master of middle grade suspense. Okay, next up, Song for a Whale. 12-year-old Iris and her grandmother, who are both deaf, drive from Texas to Alaska, armed with Iris's plan to help Blue 55, a whale unable to communicate with other whales. And then The Season of Sticks Malone by Kika Magoon. Summertime and the living is easy, at least it seems that way until the narrator Caleb and his older brother Bobby Jean make a bad deal with their nemesis Corey, leading to 4 long weeks of morning chores as punishment. And it looks like things are going nowhere fast until they meet Sticks Malone. He is a mysterious, lanky, smooth-talking stranger who adds excitement to the brothers' otherwise humdrum life. We actually have a lot of award winners this time. Mercy Suarez Changes Gears by Meg Medina. Mercy Suarez knows that sixth grade would be different, but she had no idea how different. For starters, Mercy has never been like the other kids in a private school in Florida. Because she and her older brother, Raleigh, are both scholarship students. They don't have a big house or a fancy boat, and they have to do extra community service to make up for their free tuition. So when bossy Edna Santos sets her sights on the new boy, who happens to be Mercy's school-assigned sunshine buddy, Mercy becomes the target of Edna's jealousy. Things aren't going so well at home either. Mercy's grandfather and her most trusted ally, Lolo, has been acting strangely lately, forgetting important things, falling from his bike and getting angry over nothing. No one in her family will tell Mercy what's going on, so she's left with her own worries while also feeling all on her own at school. Okay, strange birds. After Ophella, Aster, Cat, and Lane failed to persuade a local girls club to change an outdated tradition, they form an alternate group that shakes up their sleepy Florida town. This includes tips for beginning birders, characteristics of crystals, a cookie recipe, tips for aspiring journalists, directions for creating badges, and the facts about the killing of birds for fashion. And I will tell you, the cookies have potato chips in them. That sounds really yummy. Ghost by Jason Reynolds. Castle Ghost Crenshaw has been running for 3 years, ever since the night his father shot a gun at him and his mother. When he gets recruited by a local track coach for a championship team, they strike a deal. If Ghost can stop getting into fights at school, he can run for the Defenders. But one altercation, he's gone. Despite Ghost's best intentions, everyone always has someone to say about his raggedy shoes, homemade haircut, ratty clothes, or his neighborhood, and he doesn't even last 24 hours without a brawl. Will Coach and his mom give him another chance so he can be part of something bigger than himself? Or is he simply destined to explode? Okay, The OK Witch. This one is a graphic novel. Magic is harder than it looks. 13-year-old Moth Hush loves all things witchy, but she's about to discover that witches aren't just the stuff of movies, books, and spooky stories. When some 8th grade bullies try to ruin her Halloween, something really strange happens. It turns out that Founder's Bluff, Massachusetts has century-old history of witch drama. And surprise, Moth's family is at the center of it. When Moth's new powers show up, things get totally out of control. She meets a talking cat, falls into an enchanted diary, and unlocks a hidden witch world. Secrets surface from generations past as Moth unravels the complicated legacy at the heart of her town, her family, and herself. Okay, Front Desk, and this is our last one. Mia Tang has lots of secrets. Number 1, she lives in a motel, not a big house. Every day while her immigrant parents clean the rooms, 10-year-old Mia manages the front desk at the Cala Vista Motel and tends to its guests. Number 2, her parents hide immigrants. And if the mean motel owner, Mr. Yao, ever finds this out, that they've been letting them stay in the empty rooms for free, the Tangs will be doomed. Number 3, she wants to be a writer, but how can she when her mom thinks she should stick to math because English is not her first language? It will take all of Mia's courage, kindness, and hard work to get through this year. Will she be able to hold on to her job, help the immigrants and guests, and escape Mr. Yao and go for her dreams? And that is the 2021 class of Battle of the Books.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to go through the last of these slides and then we'll get back into questions.
Yep.
So important dates. So we have the contact list pickup of your team's sets of books this week, tomorrow from 11 to 1, Thursday from 5 to 7, and Saturday from 11 to 1. And if your team has not, because I saw there were questions earlier, if your team has not yet, if you hadn't signed up to pick up your books, you can use this link. And that link is also available, I believe it's on the website. If it's not on the website, it will be on the website. And then the next big deadline is February 8th, and that's when your permission forms are due, which are not out yet. So those will be coming soon, but they're not available yet. That's also your deadline for any team name changes, for your final list of team players. Signed participation and photo release forms. Those are the same things as your permission form. So I read that twice. And then any special accommodations that we may need to make, that we need to know by then as well, to give us time to make those accommodations. Okay. Oh, and then on March 23rd, 24th, or 25th, we'll let you know the exact time and date. We'll do a mandatory logistics meeting. At that point, we should have all of the questions, the answers for questions that you have by that point. And then, of course, the 16th of April is the virtual Battle of the Books. And then, parent responsibilities. So again, your parents need to respond to communications from you, the coach, in a timely manner. And again, to check the FAQs on the webpage as we update them. And we want to thank our sponsors. So the Josephine B. Scheffenacher Education Trust is our presenting sponsor. Because they are the main reason we were able to give out one set of books to every team. And then our additional sponsors, the Friends and Foundation of the Library, Howard County Public School System, and the Yolanda and Frank Bruno Family Fund. So we thank them. And finally, just continue to check our website for updates as we have them available. And at this point, I'll stop the screen sharing and I'll take some questions and I'll hand it back over to you, Stacy. How's that?
Okay, sure.
Now I got to find out where we left off.
I think there, Melanie S, does each team receive one copy of each book?
Yes, every team will get one, will get a set of books. So we'll get one book. Yeah, one set of books per team. Sorry. We will post the slide presentation to the website, and we're also recording this, so that will be posted as well. But the presentation itself will be up before the recording. Do you have suggestions for team meetings when kids are reading different books at the same time? That's a great question to talk to your media specialists, who might be able to direct you to previous coaches, and they can share some tips with you. Right, we may want to consider providing written version of questions because of any video conference platform issues. That's a good idea. Yeah. Is the format multiple choice questions or a narrative where the participant teams will write the name of the book and the author? It has been where they write down or they circle the name. So again, we need to figure that out. But as you prepare your teams, as you have your team meetings, try it different ways. I mean, the main thing that your kids need to know is the name and the title and the author for all the titles. So give it to them in lots of different ways so that they're prepared for whatever comes their way.
And that's something that we've had previous coaches and media specialists talk about. Something that you could do at team meetings where it doesn't matter who's read which book, is having them practice matching the title of the book with the author's name. And so that way it becomes second nature to them. And that's something people have done Quizlet, where you can kind of make your own little quizzes and flashcards and things like that. That's something that you can do, have your team do virtually, or make their own set of flashcards. And that's a good thing that they can practice with each other.
Yep. Someone asked, when we are discussing the answers, are we going to go into a breakout room or something like that? Again, we don't know. We haven't determined which platform we're going to use. There's only 30 seconds for the kids to discuss, and it takes a couple seconds to get into a breakout room. So I don't know if that will work, but that is something that we're gonna figure out. How are tiebreakers decided? We haven't even determined how we're gonna do the scoring yet. So we'll get back to you on that. Thank you, Simone. She put the dates and times for the pickup. Is it expected that parents, coaches will read all 11 books? What's the best way to facilitate the discussion without having read them? So actually we do ask, or it's helpful, I should say that, if the coaches read all the books, because then you can help guide the kids a little better. And they're pretty quick reads, honestly. I mean, we're not asking you to read, a 500-page book. So yeah, I think that's to your team's advantage if the coaches read all the books. When do we make reservations for pickup and how? So that if Simone or Stacy can put that in the chat to make sure we have that. School system will not allow kids to create their own Google Meets. So you can sign up for free Zoom accounts. So we might look into that.
And also, in the case where a teacher or a media specialist is the coach, they might be able to do set up the Google Meet. So
yeah. Are the teams allowed to have an unofficial assistant coach that can help them? Sure. The assistant coach would be a high school student that helps make practice questions and facilitates lightning rounds. Yeah, I mean, teams can have a coach and an assistant coach. They just have to be an adult. So a high school student. We've always said an adult.
So we've said an adult, but if you're talking about an unofficial person who wants to help out, then sure, that's fine. But they're not a coach of record. Because in the past, we've had to have the coach of record had to be an adult, but it was a different kind of situation. So if you want to have an unofficial high schooler helping, helping run meetings, I mean, that's fine too. So
yeah. Guidance on how you get electronic versions of books at the library. So they are available. If someone could put a link in the chat. There's actually, if when you search the titles in the catalog, if there's an electronic version available, it'll show up as one of the options. It'll show up as a print or as an ebook or as an audio book, if we have it on CD.
And if I could go back to one, because there's a question about parents not communicating with children that aren't theirs, relying on parents to check their email has been unreliable. That seems to be those are school system rules. So I would check in with your media specialist or your child's teacher to ask about how to facilitate that, because we are not involved with the school system to that degree, so we can't answer that question. So I would work with your child's teacher or the media specialist to help facilitate that, because that part we cannot do.
Right. How many teams are participating and how does the elimination work? There is no elimination. Everyone participates, and because we've had pre-COVID, we had we had 6 simultaneous battles at 6 sites, and we just had a winner. We had winners, I should say, at each site. So there is no elimination.
And I think it was about 271 teams.
Yeah, I think we're about to, yeah.
Yeah, 271, 272, about there.
Yeah. How are coaches going about distributing the books safely? I think Stacy already touched on that coaches will need to touch base with their students and figure out like porch drop off or some sort of a, contactless or curbside kind of pickup. How do I even set it up a Zoom if I can't communicate with the students? Parent cannot set up Google Meets. So I think that's back to talking to the media specialist. Yep, Matthew is suggesting porch pickups for team members via the coach's house. Coach will be responsible for quarantining books for 72 hours as per ALA guidelines. We now quarantine for 48 hours based on the health department guidelines. So I know the number of hours has been changing over time, but the latest is 48. So that's what Matthew is suggesting for his school. What information is needed to pick up the book? So through that form that is in the chat, you need I believe it's the school name, your coach name, and your team name, or one of 3. I'm not sure if you need all 3. But as Stacy mentioned, if you can't remember, just come, we'll figure it out. Can you give us a sense of what worked well this year with the virtual format and what did not? Not really, because it was a really simplified version. We made a video available, and if teams wanted to participate, they did. There was no scorekeeping, no prizes, no anything. So it was a very different battle than what it normally would be and what it will be this time. Oh, the How to Build a Museum has a small print of long book titles. Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture, which is how it was listed in the book list. Are teams expected to type the entire title as the answer? Will How to Build a Museum by Tonya Bolden as the answer be sufficient?
Yes, we will make it so.
Okay.
Usually we say you don't need the subtitle, so anything after a colon is considered a subtitle. So just the first part of it. So that is correct. You would not need to write that really, really long.
Right.
We don't want to add to more torture.
Right. I'm going to skip over some of these questions that we've already answered. Let's see. Yeah, some of these things we've already said, or we said we don't know. A Zoom background competition might be a cool substitute or complement to costumes. That's a good idea. Yep.
Let's see, there's links in here about buying books. One of our local bookshops, Books with the Past, has ordered copies of all the books. So that's another place where you can order the books from and support a local business.
Can we, I'm just going to ask this because it's going to be faster for me to ask this out loud to Stacy and Carrie. Can we save these chat questions?
Yes,
okay,
we should be able to.
All right, because this will help us populate the FAQs page as well.
Yeah, I think there's an option to save chat.
Okay. Can school issued Chromebooks be used for Zoom meetings? Can they download the app? Also, how do you email team members since HCPSS restricts non-students from emailing student accounts? Do kids need to have outside email accounts? Those are excellent questions. I don't know the answer to anything about school issued Chromebooks and whether they can download the app. I really don't know. That's another good question for your, I guess, for your teachers or your media specialist.
We're talking about Zoom because I think the question came up about some of our children's classes because we do our children's classes through Zoom, and I believe the answer was they could use Zoom on their Chromebooks.
Yes, that is correct. The head of technology and school media has told us that yes, the students have the ability to download on their own.
Okay. Okay, great. Good. Thank you. Also, how do you email team members? Again, you need to reach out either to your media specialist or if if your kid can email, your kids are going to have to talk to each other on the team. So that to kind of figure this out. I know it's harder than usual. But that's the, I did sign up, but forgot the time. Where can we double check? This is for contactless pickup. You can just come on the day that you figured it out. We asked for people to sign up for time slots to kind of help spread things out. But I think it would be okay if you just show up on the day you said you were going to.
Just please show up during those times.
Yes.
Because otherwise it'll be hard for us because Miller's pretty busy and there's not going to be somebody in that room at all times. So if you could come during one of those times, that should be fine.
Yes. Oh, here's someone said, I would strongly suggest emailing the parents, not the students. Absolutely agree. But again, if you don't know the parents, your kids are going to have to talk to each other and to figure out how to get parents' emails addresses. Yeah. We already talked about the unofficial assistant. That's fine.
I think I'm behind. I'm trying to figure out where we are in this list.
I know there's a lot. Yes, you'll get all of your 11 books tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, good.
Are the books available through Mac and Via for free?
I don't know if all of them are, but I think they were trying to get most of them. I feel like there were one or two that they could not get, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Leah is picking up for 2 teams, but only signed up for 1. Who should I communicate with there at the library to make 2? When you show up, we'll give you your 2 bags of books. Will you be sharing sample questions? No, we will not. Will our team be competing with all registered teams, or will we be broken up into groups? I think because of the size of the number of teams we have, we're going to have to break into different. So we've always had various physical sites. I think we're going to have various virtual sites as well. That's our plan anyway. The list of this year's books is on the website. It's both, you can click a printable PDF and also directly into the catalog. All right, I'm confused about two things you've said. If you previously had templates with authors/titles, then it sounds like the kids didn't really need to know them. Well, yes and no, because we put some slightly wrong answers on there too. So they did need to know them. Similarly, if they are looking at a printable list during the competition, what is it that you are expecting them to know on their own? So again, so if we said one of the titles was, I don't know, I'm not good at making up something on the spot, but we gave more, if we have 11 books, we might put, say, 15 books on the list. So they have to choose the right one, and they have to choose, it doesn't say that the title and the author, there's a list of titles and the author, so they have to still get the answers right.
And plus, I mean, they might have a list of books, but it doesn't tell them what happened in that book. That's the whole point. They'll need to know what happened in that book to know which title and author to match up with.
Right. Okay. I want to thank all of you who are answering each other's questions. And it's really great. Yep, Skype. The kids can chat together. What are the prizes? I don't know yet. And I don't know.
There might not be prizes.
Because we don't know how we're going to do the scoring, because everyone's going to be at home and we can't control whether they have their books and they're looking at their books or what. So, okay. Is this battle against all the schools in Howard County and not just your individual school? Good question. So again, pre-COVID, when we did this in person, we were at 6 simultaneous sites. And so we might have, depending on how many teams were from each school, we might have, 10 schools represented at one site, just making that up. And that's how we anticipate the virtual battle to be as well. So we'll split our plan is that, just as we did in the physical site, that all teams from one school will compete together. So we're not going to split up all the Thunder Hill schools, across six different Zoom sites or whatever platform sites. All the teams from one school will be together. That's the plan. All right, let's see. Man, I see kids are already making Google Hangouts. They've been chatting between classes. That's great. We talked about contactless pickup. Oh, so if we start out with 3 students and then end up with 2 students on our team, will our team be disqualified? So ideally you have 3 students. And what we've always said is that you have to have 3. And what we have done, again, physically, we have to figure out how this works virtually is usually there have been enough teams that we had 3 or 4 that we were able to combine teams at the last minute. So again, stay in contact with the other teams from your school. Round robin tournament. This is not a tournament. Let's see. Oh, thank you so much for all your hard work in pulling this together for our kids in any shape or form. The battle takes place. My team is excited to be participating. Thank you. We want to make it exciting and fun for them as well. So we're doing our best trying to figure this out. So thank you. Every question has a different list of multiple. Every question has a different list of multiple incorrectly written titles and books. Question. So the answer card. So on the answer card, again, like we have 11 titles, but we might have 15 answers.
Right, that's how the old the reference sheet worked, where we had a list of titles, a list of authors, and you had to match them up, and we had some red herrings in there. So even though we had 11 official titles, there were 20 titles on there. So there were basically 9 fake titles and 9 fake authors. So that was to kind of throw them off, because they were because they had in some format the information right in front of them, we had to make it harder than just having the book list in front of them. So since they weren't actually, in the past, they weren't writing the answers down, they were just circling a letter and a number. So this was to add a level of challenge. So this year we've got all kinds of other challenges. So we probably will not have something like that. But again, we're still trying to figure out the best platform for this. So once we know that, we will share that. But the best practice is, again, to have them match up the titles and authors. So, once they can, recite those off the top of their head, anything else will just be easy. That'll be easier for them.
Great. All right, I think we've made it through. So again, as you have questions, send them to the Bob alias, the bob@htlibrary.org. And I'm serious that this will inform our list of FAQs for the website. We're working it as best we can, doing, trying to make this as close to the real thing as possible, given the situation. So thank you all. Oh my goodness, now I can't keep up with all. When will the permission forms be posted on the website? We're having a meeting about that tomorrow. So hopefully by the end of the month, but for sure by December sometime.
And you have 2 months, even if it's
Yes.
December, you still have 2 months to get there. And trust me, we come after you if you don't have them.
Yes. Yes, we will.
And the way it worked last year, it was something called Hello Sign. So it wasn't even the pieces of paper. It was like an electronic signature. So that was helpful too. So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much. We'll see you in March. We'll see you this week for contactless pickup, and then
yes. Okay, and thank you for all your thank yous. That's something to think about, internet speed with Kahoot. Although we tend to not do the fastest answer. It's everyone who gets it right gets credit. So
yeah,
that's another piece to it.
yeah.
So this one more question, are you only expecting a team of 5 kids to only read 4 or 5 books each? We are not setting any rules or expectations either way. That is totally up to each team and what teams want to do. When my daughter participated, she was assigned, I think, 4 or 5 books, and she only read that. But she had teammates who were very avid readers, and they read every single book, probably more than once. So that's a discussion to have with your team and what they're willing to do. If you have some reluctant readers, then they might only want to read 4 or 5 books. But one of the tricks is to have, if you've got 5 kids, if they're each reading 4 or 5 books, there are only 11 books. So you're having them overlap, which is definitely something you want to do. You want to have more than one person read each book, so you have multiple experts on those books. And yes, this will be reposted on the website.
Yep. You're welcome.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, stop recording.